Thomas, how has writing the book helped you on the road to recovery?
Well, writing the book was just therapeutic. I enjoyed it. I actually felt like it was being dictated to me from above. But the real thing that I've gotten out of the book are the letters and emails that people sent me after they read it. It's so many people have taken something from the book that related to them in their lives and then written to me about it and to tell me how much the book helped them get through something. And what fascinates me is no one's ever picked the same thing. Everyone picks something that's meaningful to them, and it's never the same thing twice. And it's just fascinating to get those. I've got a stack of emails and letters, and now when I open my email, I never know if I'm going to end up sharing some tears with someone I've never met. And it's a nice feeling. It really is.
Tell me, what was it like sharing such a personal and tragic story? You know, the loss of your wife, the loss of your daughter with the public.
Well, my wife used to tell me that I was a man of very few words. And after the accident, I just felt a need to talk. And I would talk to anybody that would listen. And I can't explain why. It just made me feel good. I liked talking about what was going on. And the things that were going on were just so amazing that I had fun talking about them. Some of the amazing things. The one chapter of the book is all about the rainbows. When the rescue ship started back to shore that day, there was a beautiful double rainbow over that boat. And I looked up at it and I thought, that's the most beautiful rainbow I've ever seen. And then I looked at him and said, but I just can't appreciate it right now. But I thought it was very appropriate that it should be going over those men at that time. In the book I talk about 5 different rainbows that appeared that year. And every one of them appeared on a very specific date.
Can you share that with us?
Well, at one point, on our anniversary, the first anniversary, which would have been our 38th wedding anniversary, I was in upstate New York. And we were preparing for a family party, for a going-away party for one of my cousins that was leaving for Australia. And I got a phone call from my nephew. And he said, Uncle Tom, go outside right now and look south. And I did, and there was a beautiful rainbow. And while I was standing there looking at it, I got a phone call from my daughter, who was on her way up for the party, and she was about a half hour away, just getting off the Adirondack Northway. And she called me and said, can you see the rainbow from where you are? And things like that still happen. Last year, my daughter and I we took my granddaughters to Disneyland for the first time. And as we flew into Orlando, it was a beautiful day. And my daughter grabbed my arm and said, look out the window, Dad. And there's the most beautiful double rainbow again. Always there to let you know that they're with you. And I can't explain it. I don't try to explain it. I just enjoy it. The same with the number 13. We were married on the 13th, and the 13s appeared to me all the time. The largest chapter of the book is called The 13 Stories. I can't explain how they happen either. The first one started the day of the funeral, and the funeral director had all the pallbearers standing up in front of the church, and so that no one could watch while they closed the caskets. And I leaned over to my daughter and I said, "It's just beautiful. It's like a wall of honor." And Kathy said to me, "Dad, didn't you have something to do with this?" "No, what are you talking about? You had nothing to do with this?" I said, "No." She said, "Count the men up there." I picked 13 pallbearers.
Oh my gosh.
Nobody picks a high number of pallbearers, but I did that day, and I didn't realize it. But after I wrote the book, they still appear. The first time I did a book signing, I was out in Arizona. We went to Mass the day before. The book signing was on Monday night. And towards the end of Mass, I just said a little prayer to help me get through the book signing because I'd never done it before. And as soon as I did that, they said, "The final hymn today will be number 13 in your yellow missalette. Go make a difference." I can't explain that.
But do we really need to explain such a beautiful gift? Do we really need to explain the rainbows? Because I'm sure, Tom, that you and your daughter and your grandchildren understand what that gift is.
Oh, yeah. And it's, to me, lots of people will look at me and say, I don't understand how you can believe all that. I've never gotten any signs from the people that have passed.
The question is, have they been looking for those signs?
You have to open yourself up to those signs and their love.
That's right.
If you can do that, it'll come through. But they're not going to waste their energies trying to hit you over the head with something that you're not going to pay attention to. You have to open yourself up to receive the love that they want to share. And if you do that, you will experience a love and a peace and a joy that is just beyond belief. And that's what I try and do with the book. I try and help people to accomplish that in their life. I happen to think that positive thoughts are the most creative things in the world. And as long as we only allow ourselves to have positive thoughts about something, positive things will continue to happen in our lives. And, it's just the way that I've always lived my life. And it works for me. And hopefully it'll work for others if I can get them to try it.
But you see, Tom, you're doing something very special. You're doing something that not very many people do. Number one, you're saying, this is who I am. This is my story. I am sharing it with you because I want to give you the opportunity of opening up so that these wonders can be yours as well. I'm sharing my loss because I know it's not over, that this is just another transition through the library of life that each and every one of us go through. You're talking about eternal love, eternal hope. And you've got a message. Earlier you said that people were coming to you and sharing their stories. That's because, Tom, you opened up yourself and said, I've got a story to share with you, and you know what? God love you for that.
It's been fun. I'd go out to dinner someplace, and after the accident, and one of the things I thought would be the hardest was to go to dinner alone. But I never found myself alone. Rather than tie up a table, since it was just me, I'd sit at the bar, and invariably somebody would sit next to me, and I'd start telling them, and I'd mention my wife, and then they'd say, well, where's your wife tonight? And then I'd start telling them. And it's amazing when you open yourself up to them, the stories, they open themselves right back up to you.
That's right.
And it's a phenomenal experience. It really is.
Everyone has a story. All we have to do is listen.
Yeah, and if you tell yours,
That's right.
They'll tell theirs. It's just a beautiful experience. And,
how is your other daughter doing, Tom?
Very well. apparently is a lot like me. She finds the good in things, and if you can do that, you're way ahead in this life always, no matter what happens.
Tom, a reporter said that the book is, and this is a quote, a story of survival and true love and how it prevails. How would you elaborate on that hopeful theme?
Well, if you allow it, and you realize they're always with you, you know, you go on and just enjoy life. And they're going to be right there enjoying it with you. You know, when I first went to that medium, the first thing he said when I walked in the door was, "Your dad's here." And I guess I didn't expect that. Because, and then he said, "Your dad's really excited about being in heaven." And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, he's not excited about being in heaven. If all of this is real, he's excited because he's never had a chance to talk to me before. Because my dad was killed in World War II when I was 8 months old.
Oh, gosh.
And he got to talk to me that day. And that was emotional. For him and me. You know, when you open yourself up to love and realize how powerful only allowing positive thoughts in your life can be, it's just a beautiful experience.
Tom, you and I
have
to take a commercial break right now. Please stand by. Special guest this hour. He's shared with us one of the most heart-touching stories that I've ever heard on this show, doing this show for 20 years. I can feel the love, and I can feel the belief, and I can feel the emotion as I'm talking to this guest. Thomas, thank you very much for sharing this story with us.
Oh, you're welcome. It's my pleasure, always.
Tom, what is the main message that you would like our listeners around the world and the readers around the world to take from your book?
Well, in this day and age when everyone's talking about being green and recycling and not wasting anything, it's important to remember that there is one thing that we must always recycle. And it's the one thing that we must always waste. And it's the only thing that we can never run out of, because the more we waste of it, the more we receive it. And that's love. What's important in life is that we all try and be the best that we can be. Not the best that we can be for ourselves, but the best that we can be for one another, for all mankind. And, if I can get people thinking positively and sharing their love with everyone that needs it, and we all need it, then that's the purpose of the book. It's to help people go on with their lives, particularly after a loss, in such a positive way that it's constantly get better, not worse. It can be done.
Thomas, where can our listeners get copies of your book?
Well, any bookstore can order it for you, but it's also available all over the web on hundreds of sites like Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Borders. And it's also available as a Kindle book from Amazon, and which now means that you can actually read the book on your PC, on your iPhone, on your iPad, and it's easy to obtain, and in both digital and hard copy. And go to my website, thelastrose.com, and there'll be links there to order it, and hopefully people will do that.
Thomas,
hopefully they'll be the benefit from it.
I'm sure they will. I'm sure that you've touched many hearts around the world tonight with your story. I know you've touched mine. Thomas, thank you very much for joining us. Take care of yourself, my friend, and I wish you all the success in the world. And I'd like you to do something for me.
Sure.
Always always be you, and give my very best to your daughter and your grandchildren.
I will.
Thomas E. Price, my great pleasure, sir. Thomas E. Price, the author of The Last Rose, A True Celebration of Life, has been my very special guest this hour of Exhortation. His website is www.thelastrose.com. That's www.thelastrose.com.